その醜い自己満足を押し付け合い、許容できる関係性が存在するなら、そんなこと絶対にできないのは知っている。そんなものに手が届かないのも分かっている。それでも俺は本物が欲しい。
Hello, it's Leo. I'm joined today by Luna, and I'm back here in Chiba to talk more of Oregairu. Right now it's like 8 a.m. and we are here in Inage Kaigan Station. Here we have Ian Marimpia, and over here is Inage Kaigan Station. Right now we're just looking for bicycles to rent, and yeah, we'll be doing another pilgrimage around Chiba. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about what is something genuine. It was a core theme in the series, so we're gonna talk about it. What was something genuine actually about? So spoilers, it's not really about Hachiman's love for Yukino. Okay, so to recap, in season 2 episode 8, halfway in the series, Hiratsuka sensei takes Hachiman here in Mihama Ohashi. She asks how things are with the volunteers club. Ever since Hachiman's fake confession to Ebina and cheating on the student council elections, the club was never the same. So why did Hachiman do the things that he did? Well, according to Hiratsuka sensei, he did it so Yukino and Yui wouldn't have to get hurt. If either won the elections, it surely would be the end of the volunteers club. Or at least that's what they all thought. Before Shiromeguri senpai stepped down as student council president, she offers an alternative scenario to Hachiman, wherein the volunteers club transitions to the student council. Yukino would be president, Hachiman and Yui would be council members. Hachiman rejects this notion, saying the end result won't change. Perhaps he can't admit that he may have jumped to the wrong conclusion. And it might actually be the wrong conclusion, as pointed out by Hiratsuka sensei. Hachiman also thinks integrating with the student council is the ideal scenario, when Iro offers the same in season 3. Anyway, Hachiman, Yukino, and Yui all went against each other in an attempt to preserve the volunteers club. The question here is why? Hiratsuka sensei points out that Hachiman pushed them away because he cares about them and doesn't want them to get hurt. However, as she says, just by mere involvement, we can hurt other people, whether we know it or not. Not knowing means we don't care for them. If we care for them, we have to be prepared to hurt them. Hiratsuka sensei goes on to ask Hachiman a request, that he be the one that breaks through Yukino's shell. Maybe not now, but someday. But in the present, she asks him to think about it, to understand Yukino, to continue to care, to hurt and be hurt, to struggle and agonize. Otherwise, none of this is genuine. That would be the first instance that genuine is ever mentioned in the series. Hachiman, Yukino, and Yui all care for each other, and that means that they are bound to hurt each other one way or another. But as Hiratsuka sensei implies, if what they have is a real bond, then their relationship as a trio should be wrought with trials and tribulations. That is, it is in our struggle that we prove our connection is genuine. That is the idea put forth by the author, and that is the idea that we will apply for this analysis going forward. Okay, so fast forward to the next day, Hachiman asks Yui and Yukino for help with the abysmal Christmas event planning. Yukino refuses to help Hachiman as she tells him to deal with his own problems that he himself created. Yui reprimands her for being unfair to Hachiman, and Yukino snaps back, saying Yui was unfair to her for trying to steal the student council presidency behind her back. And yet she continues to attend club meetings as if nothing happened. None of them communicated what they wanted, and now it's too late for words. Simply talking about it isn't enough anymore. We can't fully reach mutual understanding no matter how much we converse. Even so, there is still something that Hachiman wants. It's not words of understanding nor friendship. He is afraid of not understanding the people he cares about. He wants to understand them and no longer be afraid. It's a self-gratifying wish that strips away all of a person's pretexts. It unmasks them for who they really are. It is, in Hachiman's words, a selfish and despicable desire. Even so, he still wishes for the slightest possibility that he himself, Yukino, and Yui can have a relationship that burdens each other with that sort of self-gratification. Those are his thoughts when he wished for something genuine. He wants to push his desires on Yukino and Yui, and he is willing to accept the burden of their desires in return. Accepting their desires is the kind of struggle that will prove their relationship is genuine. Therefore, something genuine is invariably tied to the relationship dynamics of the Volunteers Club. It's not just Yukino and Hachiman. After Hachiman asked for something genuine, the trio starts to mend their relationship. Yukino and Yui help break the deadlock at the Christmas event meetings, and during their preparations, they visit Disneyland. On one of the rides, Yukino asks Hachiman to save her someday. You see, up to this point, Yukino has been emulating Haruno's strong persona for so long that she doesn't know who she is. She tried to deviate by running for student council president, but Hachiman took that from her. Now she is lost. However, ever since Hachiman cried about wanting something real, Yukino started to want the same thing. She is about to find her own identity, so she asks Hachiman to catch her if she falls. She shares to Haruno that she wants something genuine for herself, and Haruno immediately figured out that it is a concept that she took from Hachiman. Yukino isn't capable of such independent thought. At least not to Haruno. So, like the caring big sister that she is, Haruno wants to test Yukino's resolve. She wants Yukino to catch Hachiman and Yui shopping together at Sogo during New Year's. When Yukino wanted to bail out of her own birthday party, Haruno stops her from relying on Hachiman. Haruno also refused to share what Hayata's future plans are and tells Yukino to find about it on her own. In the Valentine's Day event, Haruno questions the trio if being conflict averse and ignoring their feelings is them being genuine. For Yukino and Yui, they know they want Hachiman, but having him would destabilize their relationship. Thus, the two were careful not to step over the other. That's why Yui declines Hachiman's offer to walk her home after the Valentine's Day event. If none of them gets hurt, no one will leave, thus preserving the relationship dynamics. But is that genuine? Haruno calls what they have as codependency. Codependency is not genuine because their identities and actions become dependent on the judgment and approval of the other parties. At the very least, that's what Haruno thinks. Haruno is predisposed to view the trio pessimistically because she herself doesn't believe in genuine relationships existing. She wants Yukino to be self-capable, but now Yukino switched from depending on her to depend on Hachiman instead. From Haruno's point of view, as far as Yukino's growth is concerned, Hachiman is a detriment. Yukino depends on Hachiman as a moral crutch, a safety net when things go wrong for her. But high school doesn't last forever, and one day they will go their separate ways. When that happens, Yukino will be on her own. She has to learn to stop relying on others. The life they lead as members of the Yukinoshita family is not for the meek after all. Only a fool would follow Yukino in life and meddle with her family's affairs. Hachiman would be that fool, but not just yet. Okay, so going back to the timeline, in the season 2 finale, right off the heels of the Valentine's Day event, they are left to question whether what the Volunteers Club has is something genuine. Sure, they are closer now, but there is a hidden layer underneath that they're all trying to avoid. Yukino and Yui have an idea what it is, but Hachiman doesn't. During their date here at Kasei Rinkai Park, Yui offers Yukino a way to solve her identity problem. We don't get a clear answer as to what her solution was. Presumably, Yui would decide on Yukino's life choices so Yukino doesn't have to. The catch is she gets to have Hachiman for herself, and it's Yukino who has to sit by the sidelines. Hachiman objects to the idea, of course. Frankly, if Yukino doesn't solve her own problems, none of this is genuine. So they head to Yukino's apartment where Haruno is to confront her once and for all. Yukino declares she wants to be the one to continue the family business. It's a decision she has made on her own. Haruno finally accepts Yukino's resolve, and now Yukino's life is set in stone. From now on, Yukino has to live her life by her own strength to prove she's capable of replacing Haruno as the heir to the family business. That's the reason why when Iroha approaches them with the idea of the prom, Yukino insisted on spearheading it on her own. She needs to prove she's dependent on anyone, especially on Hachiman. This isn't going to be too troublesome for Yukino as she did do most of the work during the school festival. The real problem is getting approval from the PTA. Yukino could only solve this problem by addressing the PTA's bogus concerns. She specifically begged Hachiman not to intervene. Not that that would stop him though. Hachiman has promised to save her one day. For now, he feels responsible for all of this. He dragged Yukino and Yui into this convoluted relationship that they're in. There has to be an end to this conundrum. Hachiman proposes that they settle things the old-fashioned way, a showdown on who gets to make the prom a reality. Yukino accepts this as an appropriate final showdown before they break things off. So Hachiman helps to greenlight the prom in the only way that he knows how. He doesn't stand aside and let Yukino pass or fail on her own as Haruno suggests. Hachiman, Yui, and their fake prom posse go overboard and plan for an even bigger prom to use as a bargaining chip that guarantees Yukino's prom will be approved. This ensures Yukino puts in the actual effort into making a prom without Hachiman's direct help, and Yukino will be none the wiser. Why is he doing this? Well, he needs to shake off the feeling that they are codependent. He wants to be certain that his concerns for her is truly what he feels, that it is genuine. Hachiman may call it a man's pride, but it's just him denying a deeper attachment for Yukino. In the end, the prom got approval from the PTA because of Hachiman. Yukino may have prepared revisions to the prom, but she still hoped that Hachiman would pull through. She is so deeply dependent on him that she knew somehow Hachiman would make things alright. Yukino won their bet because Hachiman made sure that she would win. As prize for winning their bet, Yukino asks Hachiman to grant Yui's wish. What Yukino hopes for is if Yui takes Hachiman, she can finally distance herself and she can finally stop depending on him. Now that the bet is over, they can end the Volunteers Club. They can end their relationship once the prom has come to pass. Yukino handled the prom flawlessly, but if she truly wishes to inherit the family business, she has to outweigh Haruno's years of preparation to become head of the company. She still needs to prove her worth. She still must tread a difficult path in life. Hachiman, however, still wants to continue being with her. In fact, they all still want to be together. It all comes down to Hachiman and what resolution he is willing to settle with. He can't keep running away from his feelings as Hachiman is painfully aware of it. He can't get drunk. Hiratsuka Sensei floats around the idea of, hey, maybe you're in love with Yukino. Hachiman concludes that he is not in love with Yukino because if it's as simple as love and affection, he wouldn't be yearning for her as much as he does. But now it's all over and the Volunteers Club is no more. There is no more reason for him to be associated with her. So Hachiman starts cooking. Firstly, he rejects Yui's romantic feelings for him and apologizes for all the troubles he has asked of her. Next, he cooks up a way to be involved with Yukino again and force her mom to accept Yukino's desires. He pressures Yukino to lead an even bigger prom with an even tighter budget and boldly declares to her family that he will take responsibility of her. All of this so he could spend just a bit more time with Yukino. So now we reach the climax. So this here is Inagerikyo, or as the fandom refers to as the genuine bridge. Here Hachiman asks Yukino that he be part of her life. In exchange, he will give her everything he has. This is what he wants. He wants to have the right to associate himself with Yukino. He wants to offer all he has whether Yukino accepts it or not. He'll just do it anyway. Here, Hachiman is pushing his desires onto Yukino. Yukino, on the other hand, wants to rely on Hachiman, for him to always be her saving grace. It's a desire that can leave her cripplingly dependent on him. And yet, Hachiman is prepared to accept it. He wants her to burden him. That's a certified masochist right there, but more importantly, this is the essence of what something genuine is. He wants to continue to be by her side, and she wants him to surrender his life to her. It's not that he found something genuine here. Something genuine is not a euphemism for true love. Rather, this relationship dynamics where they can push their repulsive, self-gratifying desires onto each other is what something genuine is. It's what Hachiman asked for when he asked for something genuine in Season 2, and it took until Season 3 for him to figure out that this is what he desires. So now all their feelings and desires are finally clear. So how does Yui fit in all of this? First of all, Yui is an integral part of the Hachiman and Yukino relationship. If it wasn't for her, Hachiman might have left the club long ago due to irreconcilable differences with Yukino. Yui is there to bridge the gap. Yukino did ask Hachiman to grant Yui's wish. What she wished for, however, is for Hachiman to bring Yukino back, so that they can return to their afternoons of nothingness. She could have wished for Hachiman to choose her instead of Yukino, but that would mean losing Yukino entirely. Yui and Yukino are best friends and they do care for each other. They just happen to like the same boy. Yui wants Hachiman for herself and for Yukino to stay. That is her selfish desires. So now they all understood each other's desires, and understanding is what Hachiman asked for. It's a part of his request for something genuine. Now that Hachiyuki is a thing, it's on Yui if she would accept this new dynamic to their relationship. That's why during the series finale, there was a big fuss whether Yui will come back to the club. And of course she did. She enters the club room the same way she always did, with her signature. This signals that she is still willing to be Yukino's friend and she is not gonna let Hachiman's rejection stop her. She has not given up on trying to get inside Hachiman's pants, but that's just who she is. People keep saying that the Shin series assassinated Yui's character, but Yui has been using underhanded tricks since Season 1. She gave cookies to Hachiman knowing full well Yukino doesn't have the nerves to give hers. She reminds Hachiman of the fireworks festival during their trio date at Tokyo Sea Life Park. And she offers to take the burden of deciding for Yukino's life when the latter was having an identity crisis. If Yui just took the L and bottled up her feelings, then she's just pretending to be okay. That's not very genuine now, is it? Warning Yukino that she is going to steal Hachiman if she isn't careful is just Yui being true to herself. She desires that she be the one that Hachiman ends up with. Yukino knows this, Hachiman knows this. But by continuing to be friends, Yui is pushing her self-gratifying desires on Yukino and Hachiman. However, the important distinction here is that they accept Yui's desires. All their selfish desires are laid bare. Despite that, they choose to continue to be together because they do still care for each other. Someone somewhere down the road, most probably Yui, will get hurt immensely, but that's okay. It's like what Hiratsuka sensei said. If we truly care for someone, we will inevitably hurt them. If it's not hurtful or agonizing, it's not genuine. Towards the end of the series, it's hard to say if what Hachiman has is the genuine thing he asked for. After realizing his deep desires to be with Yukino, Hachiman seemingly abandons his quest for something genuine in favor of pursuing Yukino. We don't get a direct confirmation whether Hachiman's request was fulfilled, or if the pursuit of something genuine is a continuous endeavor. Regardless, we can infer from the ending scene an answer to the question of something genuine. Hachiman's romantic comedy ends with him devoting his life to a girl whose best friend is unapologetically trying to steal him away. His sister is the club president and is actively rooting for a last girl standing competition. Meanwhile, the student council president is pestering them with menial tasks until she can pull the ultimate sneak attack and steal Hachiman for herself. It may not be the relationship he wished for, but at least he's no longer afraid of not knowing. No one can know a person fully because people change, so he will continue to struggle and agonize until he reaches that conclusion. But no matter how unreachable something genuine is, this is the conclusion that Hachiman chooses. Maybe the real something genuine is all about a pessimistic loner edgelord who rationalizes everything, finally coming to terms with his true feelings, and admits he basically wants to be a slave to a girl who constantly verbally abuses him just because she's cute. Maybe it's the friends we made along the way. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what Wataru was cooking? Anyway, his teenage romantic comedy truly was wrong, as expected. Thank you for sticking until the end of the video. This took an excessively long time to rewrite. I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, my girlfriend's mom. I know there are more story beats in Oregairu Shin, but I don't have the raw scans right now with me, so if you do have them, do let me know in the comments. Everyone says Shin is just a cash grab and nothing short of character assassinations. I don't really care. Oregairu has been a big part of my life and I will ride this story to the goddamn garbage dump. This video is another pilgrimage around Chiba, but if you want a full Oregairu pilgrimage video, I have it linked here. Go check it out, and it also has the full map for your reference. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about anime related, just comment it down below. Anyway, this has been Leo. See you on the next one. "君はつぶやいた」